You didn't click this by accident. I want you to sit with that for a moment, not because the internet is mysterious, but because timing matters. And right now, timing is everything. Something has been pressing against your life quietly, persistently, for longer than you realized. You felt it as tension in your home, as misunderstandings that escalated too quickly, as a heaviness that entered rooms without explanation. You tried to reason it away. Stress, work, seasons. But this goes deeper than circumstances. What's been unfolding isn't random, and it isn't internal. Someone is actively working to destabilize what you've built. And God forced this message into your path because silence would have cost too much. This isn't about panic. Panic would only serve the plan set against you. This is about clarity. There's a difference between a family going through normal strain and a family being targeted. Normal strain comes and goes. It has rhythm. This feels different. It feels intentional, focused, like pressure being applied in specific places to see where things might crack. That's because someone is testing your foundations, not openly, not aggressively, quietly, patiently. The most effective harm is the kind that looks like coincidence. You may be wondering how someone could have access like that, how they could get close enough to cause damage without being obvious. The truth is, destruction rarely comes from strangers. It comes through proximity, through familiarity, through people who know how you think, what you value, what you protect. Sometimes it's someone who smiles. Sometimes it's someone who listens a little too closely. Sometimes it's someone who benefits when your family is distracted, divided, or exhausted. And that's why this has felt confusing, because a threat doesn't look like a threat. God doesn't force warnings often. He prefers peace. He prefers order. But when something is moving in darkness and time is limited, he interrupts, not to accuse, not to expose names, but to awaken discernment. The unease you've been feeling isn't weakness. It's sensitivity. You've been noticing subtle shifts, tone changes, reactions that don't match situations, a pattern of small conflicts that seem to stack back to back. That's not bad luck. That's pressure. And pressure always reveals intent. This isn't about blaming anyone in your home. Your family isn't the problem. The plan is to make you think it is, to turn frustration inward, to make you doubt each other instead of paying attention outward. Division is always the first goal, because once trust is strained, everything else becomes easier to manipulate. Words land harder. Silences feel longer. Motives get questioned. And while everyone is trying to fix the surface, the root remains untouched. You don't need to confront anyone. Confrontation without clarity creates chaos. Right now, the most powerful thing you can do is slow down and observe. Pay attention to what escalates conflict. Notice which conversations leave your home feeling heavier instead of lighter. Be aware of outside voices that subtly undermine unity while pretending to help. Harmful influence rarely announces itself as harm. It presents itself as concern, advice, or opportunity. This doesn't mean you withdraw from the world. It means you become selective. Not every suggestion deserves weight. Not every relationship deserves access. Not every open door is meant to stay open. Families don't fall apart in one moment. They're worn down, drained, distracted. And the reason God forced this warning now is because you're still early enough to interrupt the process. You might feel anger rising as this becomes clearer. That's natural. But don't let anger take the lead. Anger wants to react. Wisdom wants to protect. Protection is quieter. It looks like tightening boundaries without announcement. It looks like strengthening connection inside your home before addressing anything outside it. It looks like listening more than speaking and noticing more than assuming. This situation doesn't require fear-based decisions. Fear would push you to isolate or accuse. Discernment does the opposite. It brings steadiness. It sharpens perception. It reminds you that awareness itself is power. The moment a hidden plan is seen, it begins to lose momentum. Most destructive intentions rely on remaining unseen. They collapse when light is introduced, even gently. There's a reason this pressure has increased recently. Stability threatens anyone who benefits from chaos. Unity disrupts manipulation. Peace exposes motive. And your family, whether you realize it or not, represents something solid, something worth undermining. That's why the attacks feel indirect. No one wants to be seen as a source. They want the outcome without responsibility. God is not alarmed by this. He's precise. He wouldn't warn you if you weren't capable of responding well. He wouldn't interrupt your attention if the situation was already out of control. This message isn't about inevitability. It's about prevention. There's still room to redirect, still space to reinforce what matters, still time to shut down access points that never should have been opened. Pay attention to how your family feels after certain interactions. Energy tells the truth when words don't. If something consistently leaves your home unsettled, that's information. If certain topics always ignite tension, that's information. If someone outside your household seems invested in your internal struggles, that's information. You don't need to label it yet. Just don't ignore it. Strengthen communication inside your home, not with interrogation, but with presence. Create space for honesty without judgment. The stronger your internal bond become, the weaker any external interference will feel. Plans designed to destroy rely on isolation. Connection dismantles them naturally. You might be tempted to think this all sounds too subtle to matter, but subtlety is the point. Loud attacks are easier to defend against. Quiet ones slip past pride and patience. They make people question themselves instead of the source. And that's why this warning came the way it did. Calm, direct, without spectacle. Because what's needed right now isn't adrenaline. It's awareness. Nothing about this means your family is fragile. In fact, the opposite is true. Targeting usually happens where there is strength to be threatened, stability to be shaken, potential to be disrupted. You are not behind. You are not late. You are informed, and that changes everything. Do not rush to explain this to others. Not everyone needs to understand what you're discerning. Protection doesn't require consensus. It requires consistency. Move thoughtfully. Adjust quietly. Choose unity intentionally. The plan against you doesn't need to be confronted to be defeated. It only needs to be starved of access. God forced this message to you because he trusts your restraint as much as your resolve. He knows you won't overreact. He knows you'll listen. He knows you'll protect without broadcasting. That's why the timing matters. That's why you're hearing this now and not later. Stay present. Stay observant. Stay grounded. Nothing is lost. Nothing is broken. And nothing has the authority to destroy what you guard with wisdom. Whatever was intended against your family does not have permission to complete its course. Awareness has already interrupted it. And from here, every calm, deliberate step you take reinforces that interruption.